Joining us now, Cowboys Executive VP Stephen Jones. Stephen, welcome to Scoop City. Do you want to be a resident?
Absolutely. Sign me up.
Chase has the question for you that the world is dying to know in regards to the Dallas Cowboys.
Were you ever interested in me in free agency? Did I ever make it up on your board for you to sign me? Because, I'm from Dallas, man.
There is no question you were always on the board. I truthfully will say that. I think the bigger thing was, Chase, you were always too pricey for us as a backup. We were always bottom fishing, as you well know if you followed us. Our backups have been guys we did have Dalton come through, and he was
Andy
from Fort Worth, and he decided to play for quite a bit less. But, between Romo and Dak and the crew, we've been paying the top guy a lot of money. So we've been having to bottom fish for that backup guy or go young. But we always had nothing but respect for you, Chase. And obviously I saw some of the things when Rossini sent me all your good stuff. And you have played for about everybody in the league. I didn't know it was that many.
I know. Neither did I. 7 teams, 14 years, like some coaches that are awesome. So, yeah, at least I made the list, so I'm happy with that.
Well, what a lot of people would give to do that. I've got a son who played ball right there in the Park Cities at Highland Park, and he would have given anything to have your career. So hats off to you, and you've been great for the league and great to be on a show with you.
Well, I appreciate that.
Don't sell your son too short. He had a very good career from what I could recall. And I know he's doing some work with the Cowboys now and doing all that, but you should not poo-poo what he was able to do.
Oh, I'm not at all. He had a hell of a high school career and played at Arkansas and played in games.
Incredible.
Had a lot of fun with him.
Did you enjoy watching him play, even just at the high school level just as much as when you're watching the Dallas Cowboys? What's the difference?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's I'm not so sure I don't enjoy, when you got your own son out there, you enjoy that more than you do the Cowboys himself. He was fortunate. He won 2 state championships and, starting there at Highland Park. And Jerry and I both said, I think we like that every bit as much, if not more than the Super Bowls we won here with the Cowboys. And, he played them at AT&T Stadium. And, as you know, Chase, they follow Texas high school football in a big way. And those final games are, usually around 50,000 people in the stadium. And it's a lot of fun. So we had a good time with that.
No one knows about Texas high school football, Stephen. It's like you try to tell them. I'm like, we had in the old Cowboys Stadium, we played in the state semifinal versus Allen. We had 60,000 people there for the game. It was crazy.
I know you did. It was crazy. Those Dragons have a lot of followers, and obviously Allen does too. And between you and McElroy and yours, and what a tradition there, those Dragon quarterbacks. But no, it's nothing like Texas high school football. Obviously, we have a fun place at the Star where we practice, and a lot of the high school games leading up to the semis and the finals are played right there at the Star. And John Stephen played most of his games because all these high school kids and coaches want to come play at a place like the Star, AT&T Stadium. So we've been blessed to get to watch a lot of top players, whether it's a CeeDee Lamb or right on down the line of the great Texas high school players that have gone on to be great players in the NFL.
Gosh, the envy I have, Stephen, I live in New Jersey and it's just not like that here. Like we just don't do football the way you guys do it in Texas. I'm not talking about the Jets and Giants. I'm not trying to take a knock at that. I'm just talking at the high school level. It's just not that much fun. Women's sports are good here though. So look, I can just dream. I'm living through both of you right now in those hopes. And look, right now in talks of the Dallas Cowboys here, we got to get to it. The word when, right? When is the only word I can think of when I think of you, right? Because I'm thinking, when is Dak getting done? When is CeeDee getting done? When is Micah getting done? When is Mike McCarthy getting done? When? So when will we have some answers here, Stephen?
Well, those things take time, and we're talking about deals here. When you're talking about CeeDee and Dak and, somebody like a Micah coming up. I mean, you're talking about 2 players that aren't quarterbacks that feel like they, ought to be a little bit like Jefferson, the top paid 9 quarterbacks in the league. And then, of course, you have Dak, who's obviously his resume speaks for itself. I think, he was second MVP voting last year. He's just had an extraordinary career here in Dallas. And, those things just take time when you're talking about the amount of money involved. And, of course, we're trying to a little bit play Houdini and how to keep all these guys around Dak and keep these players we were fortunate enough to draft. And, when you start stacking them up like that, it's a challenge. It's not that it's not doable, but you certainly got to, have some give and take if you want to do that. I know the Vikings there with Jefferson when they, made that inordinate deal at the receiver spot. They don't have one player on their team other than Jefferson making over $20 million. And, of course, we got a big one in Dak, and we got Diggs right there, and then you got Zach Martin and D-Law. And so we got a lot of guys making, quite a bit of money. And, it's no excuses. We think we can get this done. Know we can get it done, but it just takes time.
Are you confident, Stephen, that you can get Dak done? Because, as you know, he's in the last year of his contract. Mike McCarthy's in the last year of his contract. Those are the two most important positions in all of sports, really. A head football coach and his quarterback. They're both going into sort of lame duck years. And what happens if you can't get Dak done? Is there a deadline? Is he going to set it? Do you guys have a deadline to be set?
Well, the answer to that question is we are optimistic that we can get these guys done. I know Dak, our goal is to get him done. He knows that. We're having conversations and, with his agent, with Dak personally, both Jerry and myself. And he knows our goal is to keep him here. He also understands the challenges. And, you see, what happens to teams when you do have these high-priced quarterbacks. At some point, it's a challenge to keep everybody. Obviously, the Chiefs are an example of that, but they were able to, survive not keeping Tyreek Hill and, some other top players. I think they let, one of the top corners in the league go this year, after this season. So, you have to make some tough choices along the way, but we're optimistic that we can do that. And we'll continue to grind away on that. I know, between fans and media, that's your job is to ask when and can you and what happens if you don't. But, our eyes on the ball and in terms of getting these things done. And we're not thinking about what happens if you don't. We're trying to get the job done.
Internally, you must laugh a little bit of all the different ways we try to get you to give us an answer. But from you've made it really clear, even going back to you and I having that conversation at the league meetings in October in New York, and we were just right outside the hotel just chatting about Dak, and you just had such a confident look in your face, like we believe in Dak. Dak's the guy. Why are you asking me these annoying questions? He's the guy. And it sounds like that is still the same sentiment in Dallas. And you guys do feel really optimistic this is getting done.
I think at the end of the day, a lot of people want to, somewhat be critical of the organization, of Jerry and myself, of Coach McCarthy, of our team. And of course, Dak being the quarterback gets the brunt of it. You know that, Chase, of our success in the playoffs. But at the same time, you got to, certainly recognize that we've won 36 regular season games in 3 years, which, of course, we're playing 17 now. I think the Patriots may have done that, doing it in 16 games on a 3-year run. But, we're having really great success in the regular season, and there's no question. I understand the criticism from our fans. I understand criticism from media. We all understand that, in terms of not winning the big game in the playoffs. And we certainly got to take that next step. I know we could go out there and no one's assuming anything and win, have another great regular season, and no one's going to give, and they shouldn't, no one's going to, really give, hey, they're going to get it done this time until they see it. And we understand that. We put ourselves in that position with, our playoff winning percentage. And we do have to take that next step, but I certainly believe we can do it.
You guys are one of the best organizations without a doubt at scouting players, drafting well. Your rosters every single year are filled with so much talent. But what's the philosophy in regards to the contracts, right? Because now, look, we're headed into camp. This is all we're talking about. All eyes are on, can these deals get done? Some would argue, why didn't you guys do these earlier? So how do you guys go about your business financially behind the scenes?
Well, we're just now to the point where we can do a CeeDee and a Micah. And, certainly you want to see these things play out. And certainly, a lot of times you want to make sure, certainly CeeDee had his breakout year this year. in terms of really having a mega year in terms of his numbers and his statistics. And of course, Micah just became eligible, and of course, we've done a deal with that. So, after that, we've done Diggs. We got him done early, and unfortunately, when you're paying these quarterbacks the kind of money these teams are having to pay them, and it's not just a handful of them. There's Chase, you follow it, I'm sure. There's 12 to 16 guys that are making 40+ million bucks, and then you're restricted to paying 5 or 6 guys. And believe me, it doesn't feel good to watch a Abadaz leave the organization. It doesn't feel good to watch watch these guys that we drafted and developed and playing at a good level walk away. But unfortunately, we can't do that. Now, the good news is we feel like we've done a good job of drafting again, and you get the Guytons of the world and the BBs of the world and a Nealon who's a pass rusher. You got to keep bringing these guys in because that's where you get the relief under the cap, is having your young guys play at a high level and play right away.
Yeah, Stephen, last question here. You brought it up in your earlier answer, and you had mentioned 17 games. Obviously, I was a part of the league for a while. 16 games was the norm. The last couple of years, it's 17. Eventually, it's going to go to 18. What are your personal thoughts and the Cowboys' thoughts on this 18-game season versus what the players are having to endure and put their body through right now?
Well, I think at the end of the day, it's a great point, Chase. I'm on the competition committee. We've talked about this, knowing that it's probably inevitable. It's certainly, I do know, at the end of the day, the players, enjoy the compensation that's coming their way, and they get, for the most part, half of every revenue dollar that comes through the door. And so certainly getting paid well. We all know when we go to 18 games, the revenue is going to jump, and certainly should only help in terms of the money available to pay players and get players the compensation. I do think, to your point, Chase, is whether you're a general manager, whether you're the head coach, whether you're a coach, there's going to be some strategy in terms of taking care of your players, in terms of how you manage through your full 53-man roster, how many guys can be up and available. All those are just very, great questions in terms of, how you manage through a season if it ultimately goes to 18. Obviously, that has to be bargained with the union, and it'll be, a great conversation because no one wants to protect our players and have them up and healthy than the National Football League and the 32 individual teams. We all know at the end of the day, you want your best players up and healthy, playing for the championships when you get to the playoffs. And I think Coach McCarthy, our head coach, is one of the best at managing our team in terms of keeping them healthy, keeping them upright, keeping them feeling good as the season progresses. And it'll be something that we'll have to continue to manage. Certainly, we have the technology this day and time to manage, pretty much every step they're taking from the time they come in the facility. We know, how much energy is going out, and how much their output is, and what we need to do to keep them feeling good, having their body in the best possible way it can be. To manage them through the 18 games. And, if you're fortunate in the NFL, certainly the playoffs.
Have the Cowboys started talking strategy on what an 18-game season could look like? Because the next time the union is talking with you guys in collective bargaining, it's in 5 years. What was something you guys would like to see? Do you feel like it need to be an extra bye week? Do you think active roster needs to increase? How can you imagine that looking like?
I think all those things are being touched on, Chase, especially at a high level, the competition committee level. I think most teams, I know we do as a team, certainly look at it, with 17 games and wanting to know. I know Mike, and we want to be at our best when the playoffs roll around. And certainly you say, well, you certainly, so far your success rate doesn't show it, but in the playoffs, but it's certainly on our mind in terms of how we would manage that. And obviously what you do is take it to another level of having to work through how we do that. Certainly from a competition committee level, a league level, we're looking at all those things in terms of the number of bye weeks that would be involved in something like that, and how we ultimately manage through and keep the players' health and safety always the number one priority as we work through and manage our seasons.
Well, as our second visitor to Scoop City, this could not have gone any better. Stephen, I had a GM in the league that I was texting with ask me if this was an ice cream podcast because he wasn't under he must have not read it, and so he just saw Scoop City. I'm like, yeah, I'm spending my time talking about ice cream all week long. That's what I'm doing with my time these days. By the way, what's your favorite ice cream? Are you an ice cream? Is
Yeah,
that
I'd
what you
probably
do?
have to go with the old chocolate chip. I'm a big chocolate chip guy.
Okay, that's
Bluebell?
I love Bluebell. Bluebell never
Yeah.
let me down.
Oh yeah, baby.
I the best. All right, Stephen Jones, thanks so much for hanging out, Scoop City. You are welcome
Great
back
being on.
anytime you want, and we will see you soon.
I know y'all will be a great success. Good luck to y'all this season.